It's that time again! It's the Berkey and the Badger Board Game Babble Show. It's going to get wild. It's going to get wacky. It might even get a little zany. We're going to talk about board games and the board game industry. And, you know, we might talk about anything else we want to talk about.
Ha ha ha! My good friend! How are you? Berry double scoop ice cream. How are you, my friend?
I'm very well, Mr. Vanilla Ice Burkhard Schmeier.
Hey, we are going to have a blast on the Berkey and Badger Board Game Babble Show today because we have Sir Patrick of Blue Peg, Pink Peg joining us on the show today. Welcome, Patrick Kelly.
Hey, yeah, it's great to be here with you guys. I've been a big fan of what you guys are doing, and glad to sit down and converse about games here on this Good Friday.
Well, we are so glad to have you, Sir Patrick. You have now entered the kingdom of Babylot.
That sounds horrible, actually.
Well, we love babbling about board games, and we are so glad that you're here and joining us. Couple quick things just before we get into the show, just to get a little business out of the way right away. If you want to follow us on iTunes or Stitcher, you sure can do that by typing in Berkey and Badger. One of the things that we're doing now, too, you can check us out on Twitter at Kimpec or at Blue Peg, Pink Peg, and you can see the link to this. But we are doing, this is the last week of our Inserts Galore big giveaway. This has been a lot of fun. We have 4 podcasters, ourselves, Blue Peg, Pink Peg. You can see my shirt here, Blue Peg, Pink Peg. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
These are some of my...
Edition.
It is. You don't have this one available anymore, right?
No, we don't.
And I don't have that one at all.
There are about 7 people that do.
Well, I'm going to put it on eBay for $150 then.
Yeah, well, you will be sadly disappointed.
Come on, pegheads. Come on, pegheads. And we also have our friends at Dukes of Dice, and Marty and Tony from Rolling Dice and Taking Names are involved in this awesome giveaway. You have an opportunity. You can get 10 chances to win these fabulous inserts from all these different companies. We've got Daedalus Productions, have some amazing laser cut stained inserts. We have Meeple Realty, some very innovative, wonderful things. Robert Searing from Insert Here, like 130 different kinds of foam inserts. We also have Game Trays, which are some really amazing things as well. And these companies and the Broken Token are doing such a fabulous job to enhance the hobby. They were all excited about it. And in this video that you can see at YouTube, you'll see in the show notes, you can go to Inserts Galore. You can watch a video and see 20 different inserts. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. But not only that, you get this opportunity to win them. You can go to BoardGameTheater.com or to our Facebook page, our Twitter handles too, you'll also see it. Yes.
Or you can go to my new site, BoardGamesEverybodyShould.com.
Excellent plug, buddy. This site that Barry put up, it's another opportunity for you to check out Berkey and Badger, but also this exciting, and it's a great job, by the way, on the website, Barry. It really looks sharp.
Okay. I didn't do any of the colouring in at all. It's my daughter.
But anyway, we want you to take advantage. We'd love to hear from you. Join us and get a chance to win some of these fabulous inserts and the big kahuna grand prize, over $100 worth of stuff. So with all that, we're just going to move right on into the show, and we're going to go into the segment. We're going to first talk about a couple things. What have you been up to, Barry?
Me, I've gone back to work, hence I am really, really tired because my job is physical, walking up and down hills, tying up vineyards. So I'm not completely with it at the moment, but last weekend I was at Ludinor, which is, I think you can call it a convention, which is up in Lille, which is the northeast part of France. It's a 2-day event, and it's their 8th year of doing this, and they basically had a lot of games on display. They had a lot of people teaching games. They also had some designers there and some editors and publishers. and I got to play some games and talk to publishers and meet lots of my friends as well, which is really strange. You just go around and, oh, there's someone I know. Yeah. Because I'm a stranger in France, so it is strange to meet people that you know. So yeah, I did that this weekend and had a really good time. I didn't play as many games as I wanted to play. I couldn't get to Beyond Baker Street, which is Robin Lee's most anticipated game, which is coming out by Z-Man Games later on this year. And I couldn't get to Outlive, which is a Kickstarter game coming out later this year, but hopefully I'll have the prototype. So yeah, lots of talking, lots of fun, and some gaming.
Wow, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a great time. We actually took a little mini vacation with my wife, Joan, and we had actually went down to Florida and hung out for a few days. And normally when we're running, we're always going with the kids, so we're always running from one thing to the next. And on this trip, we really didn't do that. We sat around and read a lot and went out and ate and just had a great time resting, so that was super fun. But I brought some games with. We're going to talk about one of them here in a few moments. But got to play a couple games with Joan, so we don't get that opportunity where we do just the two-player games all that often. And so we really had a blast with all that kind of stuff. Well, let's move right on into the segment, Things That Make You Go,
Oh. I was worried it was going to be the wrong music there. You know, you ever have one of those nightmares, you know, where you've already dreamt that you've done something, like a podcast live, and then you had a real verbal argument with your co-host? Oh, I had.
Yeah, I've already had it 3 times. It's Groundhog Day up in here.
Is it? Right, I'll edit all of this out, so if you're watching the podcast live, we can have our live argument. No. So, Kevin, what has been making you go,
What's been making me go, Well, there's something kind of interesting that I saw. Our good friend, Chaz Marlar, has actually been, is joining the staff at Passport Game Studios. And Chaz Marlar, many of you know, he's got Paradise, and he has his own YouTube channel. He's also a Dice Tower contributor, and he just does his Head in the Cloud segment, which is such a fabulous thing. I've gotten to know Chaz, and he's such a fun guy. He's been on the show before. But this is what the press release says. It says that Passport Game Studios, publisher of tabletop games, has hired Chaz Marlar as community and customer relations manager, responsible for engaging with the Passport Game Studios community and driving relationships. Well, I recently, our good friend Scott Morris, has actually gone to work as president of Passport as well, and I think he probably had some influence with this, but I think it's really exciting because Chaz is such a great guy. He's got a lot of insights, and he's very good with social media and connecting, and I just think this Passport Studios is doing some pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah,
You've had some experience with them too, right, Patrick?
Yeah. We're friends with Passport Studio. We like the staff that's out there, and have had a lot of interactions with them, a lot of their affiliates, and I may be doing some stuff with them in regards to, and then we held hands here in the future, like playing it on Tabletopia and stuff. But yeah, they're really, they're a great company. They have really good press relationships as it is. They're very responsive to the outlets. They're good people, Bridget and the rest of the staff that are there. Really great people. We found them to be very responsive and kind of knowledgeable and aware of the role that sort of the reviewer community plays in sort of promoting their titles. So I'm really excited to see Chaz kind of come over in that role. It's definitely seemed consistent with the way that they direct a lot of their marketing. I'm glad that they're kind of bringing someone on specifically in order to develop those relationships and help manage those. And I think Chaz is a good pick for that. I mean, he's a guy who knows no strangers. He's a really good fellow. Like if you see him out and about, He'll always be happy to talk to you. He's always got a great smile on his face. He's a big ambassador. And he's got a good sense of humor. He understands, social media, as you said. So I think it's a good kind of fit. My only kind of concern in regards to that is one that I guess
Patrick has a concern.
it's not a overwhelming concern, but it is one thing that I've been wondering about, because I've been thinking about this as it relates to our work. Is I hate to see us lose Chaz's voice from the community, and I think he's going to have to. I think he can do it, but you've got to kind of navigate a sort of narrow balance when you're captured by a company, meaning you actually work for someone, and then you're also commentating upon, products. I'm concerned about the impact it may have upon his ability to be a reviewer, and if he can walk that balance, I respect him enough to know that he could do it. But it is an area that I would be concerned about. Not so much that I think anybody wouldn't navigate it properly, but it'd be a hard area for me to navigate if I were kind of wearing both those hats.
Yeah, he said that he was going to be continuing on the Dice Tower Network and continuing his channel, so he's able to work from home, and I have a sense that he will be able to separate the two and be impartial and all of those things as well.
Well, I mean, I get the sense that maybe his job at Passport is more related to working with others as opposed to sort of design, having any sort of input into the way things get reviewed or anything like that, but more along the lines of sort of building relationship with the community. So, I mean, it's a great fit, and I think he'll do a great job at it. And again, it's something I wouldn't want to have to navigate at this point, but I'm sure that he's up for it.
Yeah, he's such a good guy. Any thoughts on that, Barry?
Yeah, I'm just wondering what his responsibilities are. Is it to keep all of their games out of thrift shops, so he's got to go around and buy them all so they can then resell them?
So they can find them at his thrift sift section, right?
Yeah. But, it's good news, which means there's hope for us as well, maybe. we could be working for... I'm trying to think of a company which has a really bad name. Oh, dear. Who does those Flux games?
Looney Labs.
Yeah. So we could be working for Looney Labs and trying to keep their games out of thrift stores.
Yeah, you could work for Looney Labs.
Give me coffee.
So what has been making you go Barry?
Okay, what's been making me go is when I was at Ludinor, I bumped into David Bertolo. I hope I mucked up his name. He's one of the editors at Monolith who are bringing out Conan later this year. And he was able to give me some really good secrets, and they made me go, But unfortunately, I'm not allowed to tell you those secrets.
Oh, you're that guy.
No. The only thing that just caught my attention was the Road to Legend app for Descent, which Fantasy Flight are bringing out. I was contemplating getting rid of my version of Descent, version 2, 2.0, due to the fact that I don't really get a chance to play it, and it's a bit too complicated, and it's in French. And I was contemplating getting rid of it, but now I'm thinking, hold on to it, because if I get this app, I'll be able to play it on my own or with my daughter, and it'll be in English. So
I just heard Sean from the Dukes of Dice talking about that. He's really excited about it.
Yeah, I'm really excited because if they're going to do that for Descent, they're probably going to do that for Imperial Assault as well, which is another game that I have sitting on my shelf, and it should be on the table more often. So fingers crossed. That's the Road to Descent. Yeah. Road to Descent.
So, Patrick, do you have something interesting that's made you go,
Oh, God. Any number of things made me go, every day. But that is not really the product of them being especially interesting, me just being especially guileless. I mean, nothing has struck me as, I guess the one thing that's made me go, is, the creation of this Wind Rider imprint through Asmodee. The former CEO of Fantasy Flight, I guess, is going to be heading up this new subsidiary. And they folded Tigris and Euphrates, a previous Fantasy Flight release, into that new line. And I guess Raw is going to be their new reprint. Raw is going to be their next one. So, I mean, I think that's an interesting sort of transition. It sort of makes me think that perhaps they may be moving a lot of these reprints, these kind of titles that Fantasy Flight, Asmodee, and the media conglomerate that will be acquiring. And I think, I think it's kind of interesting that they look like they're going to be having, a title that may be focused upon that and sort of taking some of these classic games and reinvigorating them. And I think also the part of it kind of is, moving the guy from Fantasy Flight into a new sort of area. I'm just curious as to what the direction of Fantasy Flight's going to be and how that might change as the Asmodee reign, I guess we'll call it, starts to take hold here at Fantasy Flight. I don't think it's necessary. I don't mean to imply that it's a bad thing or a negative thing, but I do think there's going to be some changes, and I think watching those sort of develop over the years will be an interesting thing as those of us that have been involved in the community for a while. How they're going to preserve that Fantasy Flight identity. I think they'll do a good job of it, but I think we may see some subtle changes.
Yeah, I mean, Asmodee over here, they do a pretty good job of keeping stores active and sending them, kind of event packs. So stores can do events and do competitions and, actually get people to participate. I mean, my local store, every week there's something going on. It might be just a gaming night, but then sometimes there's an X-Wing tournament, and sometimes there's a Magic the Gathering tournament, but there's always something coming out from Asmodee as well. So there's always Seven Wonders, or not Seven Wonders, sorry, the Trains one. I am tired. Trains, Ticket to Ride. Oh, la, 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 la.
Yeah, I know my son is very active with Star Trek or Star Wars Armada, and he's involved in the organized play at the local stores in Fargo, North Dakota. And if I'm understanding a lot of the things regarding this new channel method of sales model, that they're making a disparity between the online stores and the local bookstores, that they really want to focus on the experience at the local level.
Well, it's
and
interesting.
Whether or not that'll work, we'll have to see. But
yeah, it's interesting. I remember many years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when I was speaking to representatives of Asmodee, they were very, very heavily focused upon organized play. It was very much part of the direction that they wanted to be going in. And, I think that's still something that's ramping up for Asmodee. And I think it's interesting. I think a lot of the big publishers see that as kind of the golden goose that they can't quite get to lay the eggs. I think they look at Magic and they think, okay, well, Magic is event and community based, and it's making them money hands over fist. I mean, I go to Friday Night Magics, I go to pre-releases and stuff with my son. I'm not a big fan of it, but he is, and I understand the sort of the drive, the way that's driving that market. And I guess a lot of publishers kind of think that may port over to the board games. And I don't know, we'll see. I certainly support it. I look forward to seeing more local play and more building of community. I don't know if it's a perfect fit to the board game model, but I would love to be proven wrong, and I certainly will endorse any of those efforts as they go forward.
yeah, that's kind of the way I feel about it too. But for me, a local game store is a minimum of 60 miles away.
Yeah,
we don't have a local friendly store that is doing anything, so to speak. So it's hard to get to those events. It's not easy. So I'm not exactly sure how this is actually going to play out in their sales model, because they have certain titles that would lend themselves to this type of play. They've got X-Wing, they have Android Netrunner, Lord of the Rings, whatever. But are they going to have organized play for Raw? Probably not, right?
But I'd be down for it if they did. Yeah, I mean, I got to say, I often play Raw at tournament events, and it's a fun tournament game. It moves quick. Lots of people can get into it. I mean, I'd be down for that. I'll say here locally at Star City Games, which is like a Magic the Gathering sort of mecca. they've started X-Wing nights, and they're huge. I mean, they're huge.
They're huge here as well.
Yeah, so I know that they certainly have, the Fantasy Flight line certainly has stuff that suits that, but I would like to see more of the traditional tabletop games kind of find a way to organize play. And, you know, we'll see it. We'll see it eventually.
Yeah. There's lots of competitions. Star Realms, they've started Star Realms tournament here. They've got Catan still running. Hanabi's been a tournament, so anything can happen.
Yeah.
I'm like you, Patrick. I really hope it does work. I really do. It's great to see community. We have a gentleman in the community that works for the Viking library system, and he's a big gamer. His name is Jesse Shockey, and he started a local gaming night at the local library. And I've been a part of that and kind of helping with that. And now that's been going once a month for about 4 months. And he's going to be having a big May the 4th. And he got Fantasy Flight to get involved with some Star Wars themed product for that event. And anything we can do to help bring community and have more, I just think it's fantastic. And all of that. We'll talk about some of that probably a little bit more in our Babble section. But I think that's going to cover our topic of things that make us go, and we're going to move right into our the good, the not so bad, and the ugly segment.
I pushed the button and there's no sound.
Button
There it is, the volume controller.
Not so bad. Wait for it. And the ugly.
Awesome. So Barry, my friend, what have you been playing?
Okay. I played a new game, which has just been released over here in France. I played it at Ludi North. I played a giant version of it, and unfortunately I can't.
We should probably explain our rating system first, though. Huh?
That would help. Let's rewind. Hello, welcome to the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is our first impressions of board games. Our goods. Our games that after we've played them the once, we would say, yeah, we'd play that again. And I haven't got a picture.
I have them.
I was trying to load up my pictures of Soul, and the files were just too big because it was like. You got one?
Right now, the good. We've got Looney Tunes, Looney Labs. Whatever. And we've got the abominable snowman. Says, I will love him and I will hug him. Oh, the poor ducks.
Buddy, I should have introduced him to Catan.
Well, that's the good. Once you do, you're in trouble.
I will hug him and squeeze him and call him George.
Yes, George.
Yeah, so then, we rate a game good if we play it and we want to play it again kind of immediately. We'll have our not so bad, which is a game that we've played the once and we thought, well, yeah, it's okay. If it came under my radar, I would probably play it again. And here we have Pepe Le Pew.
There it is, Pepe Le Pew. You've got the French accent. Go.
No, I used to impersonate Pepe Le Pew all the time. Oh, my darling, my chérie. Which one shall I read first, the left or the right?
The right.
Okay. But does she? Wait, the girl cat never talks. By the way, I mean, not to be a quibbler, but
that should be a thought bubble. You're right. Stupid.
I love you, my kitten. I am so glad you like games. And the cat is saying,
not so good to be the only girl at the table.
Okay. Was that your cat voice?
Yes. Yeah, that meow.
Is that what sound they normally make when you run over them in your lawnmower?
Like that. All right, and here we have the ugly.
Yeah, we'll rate a game ugly if we've played it the once. We just want to walk away and and spit all over it like Chaz does there.
Darn it. It's not okay to eat the box, Doc. That's not a very good Bugs Bunny.
Yeah. Wait a minute. I need to get into this. What's up, Doc?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not okay to eat the box, Doc. Yeah. Man, can you do a Chaz though? Get out the serviettes. Wipe your screens. Yeah, so we'll give a game an ugly rating if we thought it was, we'd never play it again, kind of thing. So there you go. Our good, the bad, the ugly rating system. So what have I been playing? As Kevin asked, let's do the rewind. Kevin, we'll ask that question again.
Yeah, what have you been playing, Barry?
Okay, I played a new game from Catch Up Games called Soul, and I will have to do a screen share with Board Game Geek to show you what it looks like.
Catch-Up Game.
Yeah, Catch Up Games, who previously did Sapiens, the domino game, which I liked very, very much. Now this is Soul. This is a team game. Two teams go against each other, a team of adventurers and a team of pirates, and they're looking for a treasure on an island. Okay, and the art is very cartoony. As you can see, the board there is very colourful, and it's three-dimensional as well. You have three basic actions: move, fight, and search, because you're looking for clues, and these clues are kind of like another island game called Tobago, which you may have played or heard of. And when you find a clue, you can play a card, and each card will designate what kind of temple the treasure is hidden in. So the temple could be square or circle, yellow or green, one set of stairs or four set of stairs. So you're playing these cards, and it'll be the majority of a certain type, which will dictate which of the temples the treasure is. And then it's a race to that temple to grab the treasure, and then run back to your boat to win the game for your team. Very, very brief explanation there. What do you think I think of this game, chaps?
Wow.
Well, I mean, I'm excited about it. I love team-based games, so that's one. And I don't know. I mean, it's fast-paced. I'd say this is probably a not so bad.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually think the artwork looks fantastic. I know it looks like it kind of has a Jamaica type of feel with that racing element and
as well. Yeah.
Some of yeah. Well, and I think you like that game quite a bit, actually. It seems like it falls within that weight of game that you would play with your family, too, which would influence. So I'm going to say that you think it's good.
Ding, 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 ding. Correct. I really liked this game. It is very family-friendly. It's very, very simple mechanics. As I said, there's the 3D element of the terrain, which is kind of ties in with Heroescape. Yes, it's the right one. Heroescape, where your movement points are absorbed the higher you have to climb, but there is ways to help each other out. And it's a really, really simple kind of. You have a personality, it has a power, and then you just move, search, and try and find clues. You might find some tokens which give you like an extra fighting point, which you can use one turn whenever you wish. It's very, very simple. You're just exploring the island. You're fighting each other because there's this medallion that you can win. If you hold the medallion, you can draw extra cards, so you can play when you find a clue. Mm-hmm. And it was enjoyable fun. We played this. It was my family, my daughter, my wife, and myself. We're one team of adventurers, and then there was these three chaps playing as these pirates, and they were, their powers were really, really kind of piratey. That one of them had a pistol, so he could shoot. One of them was really strong at fighting, and they were very, very strategic with their planning and movements. And whereas we as a family were just like, well, what are you going to do on this turn? We're going to do this. No, don't do that. Too late. But we managed to squeak a win. Luckily, because I was playing a lot of the clue cards, So I was kind of like dictating which temple the treasure was in. And it paid off in the end. And I had the strongest character, so whenever the guys tried to steal the treasure from me, I would just go, paf! And they'd go, like in the cartoons. So, yes, very enjoyable game. I'm hoping to get hold of it soon, and looking forward to playing it a lot more, I think. Very, very, very cool.
When is that going to be available?
Well, it's available here in France at the moment. It was released last Friday, so a week ago. And apparently Asmodee are picking it up and going to be importing it into English. So when that will be, probably another 6 months.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we were playing, this is one of the games that I played with my wife when we went down to Florida. I'll show you the graphic here. You can see that. This is a game called
The Game Boy Geek.
Well, you know me, I don't like to read rules, so we got old Dan King teaching us the way to go there.
Okay, so Josiah wasn't there, so yeah, you got Dan King to do it.
I did review the rules, I will have to say that. But this game is designed by the Brunos. You know the Brunos. Bruno
Cathala Fiduti.
And Cathala, yeah, exactly. And it's produced by Madagot Games. This is an interesting little game. I'll show you another graphic here. You can see this here will show you the modular playmat. And you'll notice that there are some structures on there. The white pieces that you see there are the scientists, and then you've got the raptors. You've got baby raptors, and you've got mama raptor. And the goal of this game is basically the mama raptor is trying to get 3 of her baby raptors off of the board. And there's different movements and action selection based on cards that are played. And it's a unique situation. Like, for instance, if I played a 9 and my wife played a 7, the 7 will have an action on it that she would be able to take. The difference between the 7 and the 9 is 2, which would allow me 2 actions that I could take. And those could be actions of moving. They could, as the mama raptor, for instance, I could eat a scientist. If I eat all the scientists, I win. Or if I get 3 baby raptors off the board. The scientists, they're trying to put these raptors to sleep and capture them. If they capture 3 of them or get 5 hit tokens on the mama raptor, they win. So this is this card, kind of a countdown type of situation. Not really countdown, but you have 9 cards, I believe it is. And you can retrieve those cards back into your hand to utilize the other cards. Similar to, you know, Concordia with the Tribune or Mission Red Planet, that kind of thing. Less of a countdown, but anyway. It's very quick game, and you can kind of see what it is. What do you think I think about that?
Well, since this is one of the most highly anticipated 2-player games for me, and I know that our gaming taste often sync up, I'm going to say you're going to put this one as a good.
Okay. What do you think? There's another picture there. You see the components. What do you think, Barry?
Unless you're listening to the audio podcast, then you can just I'll describe it. It's just green because the resolution. No. Can I ask? Did your wife enjoy playing it?
Did my wife enjoy playing it? So now it's going to be 20 questions.
Yeah. No. Okay. All right, then you can answer that afterwards. Then
I will answer it after. Yeah, that will throw it away.
Okay, because I'm just curious. You know, if she likes that kind of level of game, then you've got a good one there. You got to keep her. I would say there's a lot of hype about this. I know Luke Hector really likes it, and it does intrigue me. I would say probably, yeah, it's your kind of cup of tea. I kind of like 2-player game, back and forth, trying to screw each other over or eat each other or whatever. So I'm going to say you think that this is a good game.
Well, you guys nailed it. Exactly.
Yeah.
I want to love him and hug him. To answer your question, my wife initially, when we played it, didn't really grasp the movement aspect of how it has to be line of sight to shoot the mama raptor, and you can hide behind those little tokens, little standees that they have, and so it takes just a little bit to grasp when you should play that higher card versus a lower card. But it's amazing in a 15 or 20-minute game how much depth there is, because this is quick. I would call this a filler game. This isn't a main event game, but to be able to quickly explain how it works, and especially for a gamer, I think they'll grasp the movement aspect and the card play. That's the real game right there. When to play that higher card and take advantage of those extra actions while sacrificing the action on the card. I had a lot of fun with it. We played it 3 different times. By the last time, she was going, "Oh yeah, this is kind of cool." So it just took her a little longer than me to grasp it, but once she did, she goes, "Yeah, I played that with you."
And then she kicked your behind.
I love that when she does that.
Yeah, I got my tail handed to me last night at St. Petersburg by my wife. She tore me up like a 40-point advantage. She killed me.
Okay, cool. Can I ask that question then? What is the ratio between you and your partners?
Winning, losing?
Yeah.
I probably 2-1 me in favor of her. I probably beat her 2 times for every 1 time she beats me. But when she beats me like a freaking rented mule.
I need to do a Google search of what did you say? Fretted mule.
Rented mule.
Rented mule.
Yeah, I tell you, my wife. It depends on what we're playing. You know, if we're playing new games, which usually isn't her thing. Once she learns a game, she likes playing them. But that's not her best suit. She doesn't like to learn that many games. But if we're playing Ticket to Ride or playing games that she really loves, man, she's on it, and she'll just smoke you, and she's cutthroat about it.
Yeah.
How would you, Barry?
Probably, I think 1 time in 6.
Yeah.
My ratio with my wife, she's savage. And then when she loses at a game that she's constantly beating me up, she doesn't want to play it again. It's like, that game's broken. I'm not going to touch that again. Move on.
That's awesome. So,
yeah.
Patrick, what have you been playing?
Well, I just got back from a weekend where I played, in the span of 3 days, played 18 games, and many of them, I think 17 or 18 games, and many of them were super duper heavy. But I'm actually going to focus upon a lighter game that I've been playing for a little while, and this is an old game. This game's been, I don't even know, 80. Well, I don't know the date, but it's a Abacus Spiel game by Michael Schott, and it's China. It's I think it was a re-implementation of Web of Influence, and the way the game works is let me see if I can get this fancy stuff you guys have been doing with your screen shares. No, I'm not gonna be able to do it. Anyways, in China, it's a very basic area control game, and what happens is you got 3 cards in your hand. You play those cards out, and then you can lay one of your pieces on a board of China, and the color that you lay determines the territory that you can lay it in. And you're trying to get majorities in the areas before the areas fill up. There's a limited number of spaces, and whoever has the majority at the end gets a certain number of points. Second place gets the number of points equal to the number of houses or buildings that the first player has, and then third place gets the number of buildings that the second player has. So there's like this scaling of value, and there you go. And in the game, what you're also doing is you're laying these emissaries, which are for alliances, and they're at the borders of each of these regions. If you can, between the yellow and the green, you may put one in the border space, and then these would trigger at the end of the game in order to determine who has the majority in the regions, the 2 regions. So if you've got, if you're scoring the emissaries in the green and the yellow, you've got to have a majority in both in order to score it. It's a very basic game as far as the mechanics. You just play a card, play something, play a card, play something. But the way that the tensions sort of weigh out make it a lot more tactically rich than first impressions may lead you to believe. So that's China. It's plays pretty quickly, very quick to get understood. But again, if you've got a player who's experienced and sort of knows how to play games of this style, they'll just roll over a less experienced player.
Hmm. What do you think, Barry?
What do you guys think of that one?
I kind of blanked out when I was searching for the actual image for China. So
Yeah.
And again, I don't listen to Pink Plague, Blue Plague, I don't listen to the podcast, so I don't know Patrick's taste. So I'm gonna have a wild stab in the park, and say good.
Okay. What about you?
Well,
what about you, Berkey?
I do listen to Blue Peg, Pink Peg all the time, and I don't think I've ever missed an episode, Barry, pegheadless man.
I'm
missing
almost
out, buddy.
I'm missing out.
I just gotta say something about Patrick, about listening to the podcast. I was doing an outside stone masonry installation that took me about 3 weeks, and I was looking for some stuff to listen to, and I came upon Blue Peg, Pink Peg. This was probably 3 years ago, and I listened to a couple episodes and was getting kind of excited about it, and before you know, I was downloading all the episodes, and within a 3-week period of time, man, I was caught up, and I was a peghead.
Yeah, it's funny. We have our new listeners often become binge listeners. We can always tell when we've added a few listeners because I can see episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like I can kind of always get a sense of how many new listeners we have because that's how many times during a particular month that episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4 have all been. If I look at the common number between those 4 episodes, that usually signifies a new listener.
Yeah. Well, it was a rich time for me. Someday, Barry, maybe people will binge listen to Board Game Babble show.
Mm.
It happened. Anyway,
my
okay.
mother. I forgot what it sounds like.
I binge listened to it, I might add.
All right. Well, listening to Patrick, Patrick seems to generally
nice voice.
Positive. Yeah, he has a very high voice.
Nice.
No, I think he generally is very positive towards a lot of games. So I think he just loves games. I think area control is something that is in his wheelhouse. I think he does like deeper games, though. So as a first impression, because it's not all that deep, I'm going to say that he believes it's... I'll pull it up here. I'm going to say not so bad as a first impression.
Yeah, I think that's right. Not so bad is my impression. It leans towards a good because you're right. I do love area control. As you know, Berkey, one of my favorite games of all time is Shogun.
Yeah.
And I do love area control. I love El Grande. I love Tammany Hall. I like a lot of the area control classics. And I do like games that can be taught in less than 2 or 3 minutes. So those are 2 things that strike in China's favor. The thing that I think makes China lose a little bit is the clunkiness of the emissary, the alliance scoring. It can be a little hard to get that going, and someone can kind of run away with the game. It definitely is a game that it doesn't have a runaway leader problem, but it definitely has a problem where it has a runaway loser problem, I guess. If you're in a game of 3 or more, you could really get shut out if you don't set yourself up right, and that can be a little dissatisfying for the player who gets shut out. But notwithstanding that, it's a neat game, and I have a great kind of fondness in my heart for sort of these older games that are out of print, haven't been around for a while. I always like to kind of give those a try and pick those up at cons and that sort of thing. And so yeah, this one is a game I enjoyed, but it had it's an older game, and it shows that. It shows as far as the elegance of the design isn't quite where some of our games that we're playing now is. So it's a good game, but certainly not one of the greatest that I've ever played.
Yeah. Well, we're going to move right into our What Game is Behind the Door segment with our special guest, Patrick Kelly from Blue Peg, Pink Peg. But before we jump right into it, I want to give Patrick some opportunity to tell us a little bit about himself and things that he's doing in the hobby. But I just wanted to add something quickly to that. It was just about 2 or 3 years ago that I had the pleasure of meeting Patrick and Rob from Blue Peg, Pink Peg. We actually were able to meet at Gen Con, and we met at what has now become famously coined, or maybe not so famously coined, Meat Fest. Meat Fest was this fantastic dinner that we had, Fogo de Cow, Brazilian steakhouse at Gen Con. I first met Rob. We talked for a while, and it was just so enjoyable for me as getting to know more people in the industry to meet him. And as we talked, then Patrick came along, and we had so many interests, and man, we just had such a blast and hit it off right away. And since then, they have become such good friends of ours. Josiah and myself, my son, we were able to play Shogun with them one night till 3 in the morning.
Great game too. Yeah, that was a wonderful. Really very glad to know you guys as friends. Very good friends, as a matter of fact. And the meat sweats, they come once a year, but when they come with a vengeance. And we do enjoy. It's a standing tradition that we'll go and eat as much meat as our stomachs will be able to handle. It's what are we doing right now? I mean, we're working on the podcast. Getting ready for a couple of campaigns that we've got going, maybe some crowdfunding that we're working on. We've got a couple of other little projects in the works that I think may be exciting. A few features we may be working on that should be fun for listeners. But it's kind of steady as she goes at this point. My kids are about to start spring break, so that's been a bit of a busy thing. And life's taking over a little bit, but yeah, the show is moving right along. We're having a good time with it. We're gonna have a special guest here coming up very soon. Listeners of the show should be excited to hear that, and we're having a good time. I suppose that's the best I can say. We just had our RobCon extravaganza, which I just described. In the mountains of West Virginia. And played a ton of games and had a really wonderful time with a lot of our friends, some pegheads as well. We're out there, we're just gaming and having a good time.
Well, the Peghead Nation is definitely growing. You're definitely one of my favorite, if not my favorite. It's so hard because there's so many people that I love to listen to, but your podcast is definitely dear to my heart and a must listen. I noticed that you guys were, congratulations, nominated for a Board Game Geek Golden Geek Award.
We were, yeah. Our second year being nominated for that, and yes, it's a great honor, and we're very flattered to be within that company. We were glad to have the nomination, and we greatly appreciate the support of the Peghead Nation. We love our community. It's really the reason that we do it, and we have great affection for anybody who listens to our show and anyone else for that matter. But yeah, our nation's a great group of people. They're really wonderful, and we're really proud to kind of be connected with a lot of people that we've gotten to know through the show.
Yeah, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, you can always check us out at our webpage, www.bluepegpinkpeg.com. You can check us out on all the social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Board Game Geek. If you want to go to our guild, you can join us up there. We've got a pretty active guild participation. We've got some Peghead game groups that are starting to form up in different parts of the nation. One in Janesville that's gotten a lot of coverage. Janesville, I guess, Minnesota. It's gotten a lot of coverage. Wisconsin, that's right. It got picked up in a Minnesota paper. In Janesville, Wisconsin. But we've got a couple of others that are starting to form up, apparently. And, the web page is probably the best place to figure out what's going on with us. But if you want to reach out to us and connect with us, then the Guild is a good place to do that.
Well, your format is really interesting and something that you don't see a whole lot of. You've got Rob's wife, Christina, which has become a very endearing figure on the show, and her insights and her gaming growth, if you would It's just been really great to listen to her. And then Jeremy, the Green Peg, has joined the show, and he just seems like a real super nice guy too. I got to meet him last year, and it's just love what you guys are doing.
Yeah. No, they're great people, and that's at the end of the day, it's just enjoying being with the people that you love, and I have love for all of those guys, and it's one of the highlights of my week to get to play games with them and record a podcast with them. So, it's its own reward. So we have a good time with each other.
Awesome. Well, we're going to move right into our show, and our show is What Is Behind the Door? Harry, do you want to go ahead and give us an exclamation?
An explanation. We're going to be asking our good friend here, Patrick Kelly. Sorry, I had to think there. We're going to ask. Yes. Edit that out, please. Disgrace. What we're going to do is we're going to ask our good friend here, Patrick Kelly, some questions about games that he's playing. And we're going to do this in a game style kind of fashion. The first one we're going to ask, the first question is, what was the last game that he purchased? Right. We're going to do this in a kind of 20 questions way where we ask 5 questions each, and Patrick will either say yes, no, or which means like in the middle.
No, he's supposed to say yes or no. No,
Yeah.
No bag of cheese.
Yeah, because sometimes a question will fall into that chasm in the middle of yes, no.
I'll let you know.
Okay. You want to take it away, Berkey? You got a question ready?
All right. Is this game a cooperative game?
No, it is not.
Okay.
It is not. Okay, I will pass on that one.
Okay, can I ask, does this game come in a Dominion-sized box?
No.
No. Okay, so it's not normal. It's not a normal game.
That's a good question, Barry. The size of the box. You're talking regular size Dominion box.
Yes, I've been thinking, because the questions we ask are just like, why did we ask that question?
I was just checking to make sure. Yeah.
All right. I should have said ticket to ride size. That might have been.
Not the brightest light bulb in the thing.
Yeah, we're not the cheapest monkey in the shoehorn.
Never give a monkey a keyboard or a podcast.
No, or a pen, because it. Oh, there it goes on my nose. I'm gonna pass on, I guess.
All right, I'm gonna ask: is it a fantasy-themed game?
No, it is not.
Okay.
Okay, I'll pass.
Okay, my question is: has this game been published by Milton Bradley? No. Is this game a family type of game, style of game?
No, it's not.
It's not family.
Not family.
Okay, I'm gonna say Trois.
No, I wish.
Ooh, why do you wish?
Because it's, I think it's out of print here in the U.S., so it's coming back in. They're republishing here for redistribution in the U.S., and I don't have it. I love that game, though.
Yeah. I still can't get used to the cards. Just, I know how to play it, but it's the cards.
Okay, Patrick, is this a Euro game?
Yes.
Euro game. Wow.
Usually a safe bet with me.
Yeah, I would think that too. Huh. Euro game. Well, I'm kind of shooting in the dark here. I don't know if you did this. I could maybe ask a different question to narrow that down. Is it Murano?
No, it's not.
Too old. Too old. Okay. All right, Barry.
Okay. You said too old. Is Murano an old game?
Well, it's been a while since I got that one, yeah. And I don't think I bought that one.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go with, so it's a euro, it's not that, it's not that, it's not that, so I can't ask that, and I've dropped my pen on the floor, but you can't see that on the podcast, but you can probably hear it in the audio podcast.
I heard it.
Oh, there goes my voice. Me. Okay, does this game contain cardboard components? No, sorry. It's a Euro game. Okay. Has this game been published in the last 2 years?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a new game. 2 years. I'm gonna pass.
Gosh. Boy, I'm having a hard time with this one. We've got to narrow it down. Did you purchase this on Kickstarter?
No, that's never. No.
I should have known that.
You're confusing me with Rob.
Yeah. Kingdom Death Monster.
Oh, God.
That was so funny. God, I laughed and laughed. When Christina got on there and started talking about the price of that,
Oh, God.
and Rob was backpedaling, I laughed so hard.
Yeah.
You ran over a cat.
Oh, gosh. Is that my fourth question or is that my fifth?
I think that was your fourth. 1, 2, 3, 4,
I said
5,
fantasy.
6, 7,
it's not a co-op. It's
4,
not
5,
fantasy.
6. I've got 7 here.
It's a Euro game and Kickstarter. That was, so I've asked 4 questions.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. I'm just going to throw a guess out there. 504.
Nope.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Is this Euro game a kind of resource management game?
Yeah, I mean, in a way of speaking, it is.
You got anybody on the guild helping us out here?
Nobody's got a clue at the moment.
I don't know.
Lillian, thank you for your answers, but relatively new to the hobby. Oh, yeah, it makes it harder. I'm going to say Rococo.
No, I've had that one for a while.
Okay.
Okay, last question.
And that's the same size box as Ticket to Ride, you idiot. Oh!
Oh, it is. You're right. Yep.
Okay, so do you does this game have a fair amount of miniatures?
No miniatures.
It's a Euro game.
Miniatures. Yeah. You know how they're going nowadays.
There are some. There are some. I mean, like if it was Age of Discoveries,
That's just what I was thinking, or Blood Rage, but crud.
Yeah, big crud.
Yeah, I think he's kind of got me here. I'm just going to throw out Prodigal's Club.
Ooh, that is the most recent game that I got, but it's not the most recent game that I bought.
Ah, well, not so good. All right, Barry, you can win it for us. Come on, buddy, you can win it for us. It's all on your shoulders.
Okay. Hope not. I've just cleaned them. Do a shuffle. I am completely stumped. I can't narrow this down anymore.
I bet you when I give you my clue, you'll get it pretty quickly.
Okay. There's just too many games come out in the last couple of years.
That's the part. Yeah.
I do a Board Game Geek search for 2,000 games which have come out in the past 2 years. I keep thinking of cubes. Does it come with cubes? No, that's just stupid questions.
Okay.
It's resource management. Does the board have a map on it?
It does.
I should have asked that as my first question. I had it in the back of my mind to ask that as the first question. Oh, what a donut.
Probably the one you just talked to us about. That's why he's trying to fool us.
Oh, no, it can't be. Can't be.
He's smart. He's an attorney. Good grief, he's smart.
Oh, you're right.
He's trying to mess with us.
Yeah, he's trying to make us look stupid as well. So
Doesn't take much.
no, it doesn't.
I always say this: life is hard, and it's harder when you're stupid.
Yeah, I would have said that life is like a chewing gum.
Yeah, that too. Okay.
Yeah, you
Come
either
on,
stick it
Barry.
on your bedpost or you put it on your foot. I'm stumped. I'm gonna pass.
All right. Clue.
All right, final clue. Tree frog.
Tree Fog Games.
It's the emerald, not emerald. Emerald thingy of emerald.
No. Tree Fog. I know this. They just released it, right?
Well,
Really
Tree
good
Frog
game.
doesn't release anything anymore, but it's pretty new. It's one of the more recent games.
Okay.
And I've talked about it on the show.
Study of Case and Emerald?
No,
Is it not-
Studying Emerald? No. It is. You want me to tell you guys?
Yeah,
Yeah,
go on.
go ahead.
It's Ships by Martin Wallace.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I talked about it on the show. I played it several times and then finally decided to break down and get it. The truth is, I don't buy games.
He stumped us.
Yeah,
He did
that's one that I haven't had my budget hasn't been allowing for a lot of purchases recently. So, but I did splurge and get that along with that. And it's hard when you guys say what game did you buy last. I mean, board gamers don't buy a single game at a time. They always buy them in
Right.
months. I buy Shakespeare at the same time.
I do.
Yeah,
I have a wife, and she's got this like leash.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, one at a time for me. Otherwise, it's choke
Yeah.
You have a spiky collar on, right?
Yeah. No. it's
Okay,
gonna
part two. Our
Anyway.
question is,
Yeah.
Patrick, what game are you the most excited about getting? Now,
All right,
Patrick has drawn us an image, and we will
You ready?
describe it. All right, you go ahead and talk so the
All right.
image shows up on the screen.
All right. Well, here it is. Hopefully, it can be seen
It can.
easily.
Yep.
And can you guys see that? Have I got it
Very
You
centered?
can see that.
I like
Okay,
that.
what he has on the screen, there's a flag with a circle in the middle of it. The flag is waving. There looks like a power plant, possibly tower or a smokestack. There's buildings. Down in the bottom, move it up so the bottom right-hand corner, the other corner, my other right, up a little more.
Right.
Okay, there's a watch. There's a watch. No, the other way.
Can you see that?
Yeah,
Yes.
now we can see that. There's a little box with bits. Does it say NC2 on it?
No, there's no words there.
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
He's used colours as well. There's a gold watch in there. There's a toilet. Is it pink toilet paper? It looks like toilet paper. But it's definitely a Japanese flag.
Yeah.
And I was listening to Perfect Information, and they were talking. Is it Nippon?
It is. Bing, 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 bing. You got it. Yeah. It is. It's Nippon. Yeah, those are the products you can get in Nippon silk, whole paper, bento, and clocks. I think are the goods. Yeah, I'm very excited about this game. It looks like it has some really incredible mechanics, and I'm very much on board with the whole "What's Your Game" line. Their games are just really. I haven't been dissatisfied by any of them as of yet,
Cool.
including Vasco da Gama, which I love. Unlike Tom Vassell.
Who?
Yeah.
No!
The name had to come out.
Yeah, he does hate that game, which I don't understand.
Have you played Nippon, Barry?
No, I haven't. No. As I said, I was listening to podcast, The Perfect Information, and they were talking about it in some very good depth. So they kind of tempted me and not tempted me at the same time, but sounds good. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, I hear Lance Meister, the Undead Viking, he loves that game, and then I heard Sean and Alex talking about it, and they're singing its praises, so it sounds great.
Yeah.
All right, number 3, Barry.
Okay, this question is, what is the current favorite game of Patrick Kelly from Pink Pig Poo Pig?
Yes.
Pink Pig.
Poo Peg.
Poo Pig.
Yes.
Poo
Yeah.
Pig.
Well, the first thing I need to say is, for me, I define this as the game that is fixating my thinking the most right now. I wouldn't necessarily describe it as my favorite game, but it's the one that has got me. I think about it. I dream about it. I wake up thinking about it. All right. So you ready for the first word?
Yeah.
Yes.
The first word is cones.
Cold?
Cones.
Cones.
C-O-N-E-S. Cones.
Okay.
Cones.
And if you're watching this live, please enter your answers so we can win. It's 1-1 apiece here.
Cones of Dunshire. Cones. Well, there's eminent domain or not eminent domain, dominant species, but that wouldn't be it. Cones.
There's E.T. phone cones.
Phone cone. Okay, I'll have to pass on that one.
Settlers of Contan. No. Yeah, pass.
This is
Second
clue.
clue.
All right, second clue. Eyeballs.
Cones and eyeballs.
Oh,
Rods and cones.
rods and cones.
This is starting to sound like a party game.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna. Oh, what's that? What's he building in there?
No, the Boschke
No,
games game. No.
No. Okay.
Okay, number 3.
Shiver. Shiver.
Shiver.
It could be pirates. Shiver me timber.
Shiver my timber.
Shiver me timber.
You know why pirate jokes are funny, don't you?
Because
they
they're
just
made of
are.
piglet. Oh. Oh, that was really corny. And I laughed in front of the camera. Oh dear. It goes my reputation.
Maybe
Shiver.
he's thinking this is kind of horror-ish. So
Yeah.
I'm going to make a guess with upcoming expansions and things. I'm thinking Time Stories.
Okay.
Nope.
Not Time Stories.
Oh yeah, it's an
You
up and coming game. It's not a currently existing game. Oh. Barry, switch on. Ding.
Shiver.
Oh.
Maybe he means cold.
Yeah, it could be the new Dead of Winter.
Ah.
Is it the new Dead of Winter?
No, it is not.
Okay.
Okay, number 4.
Multiplication.
Ah, crap.
I can't even spell that, so I'm not going to bother.
Multiplication. So, maybe it's a Stefan Feld game.
Possibly.
I do love some Feld.
He does like Feld.
What could the multiplication could be for the scoring. Yeah, I see where you're coming from, like in Stone Age, but I can't.
What the heck would eyeballs have to do with anything?
Gotta be horror, isn't it? It could be expansion for. Is there a new expansion for Eldritch Horror coming out or something?
There is. I think it's a ice themed. You know, like a winter themed
Yeah, so
expansion.
therefore there would be ice cones, and he'd be shivering, and there'd be eyeballs, like the monster with eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Multiplication.
what it is. What's the name of it?
Okay, I will cheat and go on to Board Game Boobies. Doobie-doos.
Cones, eyeballs, shiver, multiplication. Is it Cthulhu Wars?
Elric.
No.
Omens of Ice is the name of the expansion.
Oh.
Okay, thank you.
Omens of Ice. But that's not it. Nor is it Cthulhu Wars.
Zoot.
Crap. All right. Well.
You ready for the last one?
Yeah, number 5.
Amphibians.
Oh.
Amphibian.
Is it evolution climate?
No.
Ooh, yeah. I see where you're coming from there. Good response. Amphibians. What is an amphibian?
It's a frog.
I've got an amphibie, but I haven't got an amphibian.
Yeah.
I think monkeys are amphibians too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got a guess, Barry?
Yeah. I'm gonna say yeah, it's Descent 5.3.
You nailed it.
No, I'm
The one I'm working on in my spare time in my bathroom in a tub full of various liquids. It's not important how it's designed. My process is a unique thing.
Okay, well, you can give us a phrase then.
Okay.
As a hint for your final guess.
Yes. The final phrase is
Fourth word. 5
he that has control of the frozen spaces is likely to win.
Oh,
Good grief.
Pingu Pingu. No, it's not Pingu Pingu. Hey, that's my
Frozen
fish.
spaces.
I can understand why you'd have nightmares about, hey, that's my fish.
Yeah. It dominates my thinking. It's all I can think about.
Good grief. Eyeballs and
Fuck me in the fucking tash.
frozen
No.
cones. Boy, I tell you, he put some thought into these, didn't he?
He did. They're very good clues.
Hmm.
But will they
Not
make
so
sense
good.
when he tells us that it's Ticket to Ride?
Yeah, I just said a bunch of words. I
don't have a clue.
All right, well, I'm going to tell you guys. And Berkey, you had it at the beginning. It is, in fact, dominant species.
Oh, it was?
It was. I thought you were going to get it right off the bat. I put eyeballs in there in order to kind of throw you off a little bit. But all the action spaces in the game, the action spaces all have these little spirally eyeball-looking things. I'm sure they are not eyeballs, but they look like eyeballs, and that is where that clue came from. But yeah, I mean, I've been playing this a little bit, and I'm trying to decide if I love it, which I think I do because I've always said I do, and I do love playing it, or if I actually hate it because it's just it's the most evil game. I haven't left a single session of the game without being just a little bit angry. And by little bit, I might mean incredibly angry.
Flip the table angry.
Yeah. It's a hateful game, and it's so long and it's so hurtful but yeah, I've been trying to think through my best strategies for playing that game, and it's taken over my brain recently.
Wow. I mean, how long does it take you to play a game of that?
We got one in about 5 hours, I guess. It was the last game we played at RobCon, and it was a long, arduous experience. Yeah. But it's so well designed, but it is evil. I mean, it's evil. It's probably the most hateful game I've ever played.
Does it come with a mini-me?
Yeah, it should. That's
a big
$1
investment of time.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna, just for time's sake, we're gonna move right on into our Babble topic segment.
Yeah.
And the topic is, for the love of the hobby, why do we do what we do? Got a soundtrack there, my friend?
I have.
It was there.
It was there, and then the speaker switched off.
Babble, Berkey and Badger's Board Game Babble.
So did we win or lose that last round? I can't figure it out.
You lost.
Well, we maybe get a half a point because at least we mentioned it.
You did. You did. But you still lose.
No, you did really good there, Patrick. You were blowing our minds.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I'm really excited about talking about this topic because, for one thing, it's great having you, Patrick, here.
Yeah.
You know, as what I would consider more of a seasoned professional. You've been around the gaming hobby for a while. You've have a lot of good experiences and things. But we want to talk about the love of the hobby. And last episode, we had Marty from Rolling Dice and Taking Names on, and we were talking about integrity in gaming, and particularly from the vantage point of and perspective of media content creators and how that affects us as creators. But here we might touch on that a little bit, but we really want to talk about what the hobby means to us. I know that you're well versed in this. You've done some fantastic writing even on the subject that I'd love to have your input from. But to start with, could you just tell us what was the impetus for you to start your podcast, and tell us some of the things about how you guys got started?
Yeah, well, I guess the impetus behind our podcast was, honestly, we were more interested in doing just a podcast that we thought would be fun than anything else. And Rob and I had been on a podcast. I'd co-produced another podcast that he and I were on for about a year. It was a comedy podcast. That wasn't that successful. It was successful enough in its sort of limited scope, but it wasn't a big success for us. But we really enjoyed doing it, had a good time doing it, and so we were thinking along the lines of, how can we do something that might get a little more purchase? And we both love board games. We played board games all the time, and we realized that there wasn't a lot of conversation about families, about couples, and board games. And both of our wives were into board games, and both of our wives were willing, I should say, wouldn't say eager, willing to do this with us. And we thought it would be a good way for us to sort of develop our relationship with our spouses, do a project that we could all be invested in together. And we love the hobby. We like playing games. It meant a lot to our relationships. It was a big sort of constant for both of us in our marriages, and we believed in it and wanted to get more families and more couples playing games, and let those that played games with their spouses feel welcomed and have a good place to kind of talk about that and to explore other ways that they could do that. And so that's why we started it, and it was it's just a passion project. It's something that we do. Both Rob and I always have to have something that we're creating on the side. And we'd worked on a couple of projects in the past. We were an improv comedy troupe for a while, and we kind of were ready to move on from that. And we both needed a new creative outlet, and so that's where the podcast came in.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think we titled this "For the Love of the Hobby," and the question presents itself: why do we do this thing? This isn't a lucrative financial decision. It may become for some, but this is a niche market type of thing.
Yeah.
And why do we all do this? Barry, how long have you been producing content and media?
Me, 4 years. I think I've been producing stuff from mimicking Tom Vassell, I've said it, to to writing songs and doing normal board game reviews. And then obviously last year we started chatting, and this kind of thing developed, and for me it felt good to chat to people who spoke my language, to be honest, and that was enjoyable to be able to express myself in my language with someone who is a good 7 hours away, because it's what they are. It's 1 o'clock, 10 past 1, 20 past 1 now. So I'll be going to bed soon. So yeah, for me, I've been doing it for not donkeys, but a while. I do it for the pleasure. I don't do it for profit, but any money that comes this way, or anything that comes this way, is appreciated. So
yeah, I think, and I don't know if it sounds cliche or not when we say, for the love of the hobby, but when we first started Board Game Theater, it was just a simple concept. that my daughters had a costume company. They were very proficient at their craft. We loved board games, and we thought, wow, this would be fun to horse around and dress up and do some of that drama, and maybe if it would bring some joy to people, you know. And so you do that because you love the hobby. I remember it was kind of an interesting story, but I met Scott Morris, and when we first did Sheriff of Nottingham, and I met the art director, and I was complimenting him on the art, not knowing he was the art director. His name was John Guyton from Arcane Wonders, and he was so, it warmed his heart that I recognized the quality of the art. And I told him our idea. He goes, I think we want to be a part of it. And I connected with Scott Morris, and subsequently ended up going to BGG-Con as the Sheriff of Nottingham in all of the costume regalia. Had so much fun interacting with the customers. Well, I did this totally with not asking anything from the company, and I got to meet Brian Pope, and he said, why are you doing this? It kind of mystified him almost, and I just said, honestly, I'm just a fan. I love this game. I would love to see it be successful, and if I can help in that process, I'm just happy to do it. And we just started this show and got this idea, and this seemed like a perfect fit. And so, honest truth, it was because we love this hobby. There was no personal gain other than the satisfaction and the fun of doing it, you know?
Yeah, you're not going to, I mean, the only reason to do it is because you love it. Because first of all, it's going to be a huge time commitment. It's going to be a big financial commitment. You know, you won't make money. I mean, you're not going to make money out of this. You know, I think the people that are making money out of podcast media are already making money out of podcast media. I don't think any of the new guys are likely to do that. And so you got to just kind of approach it from that point of view, that you're just going to be doing it because it gives you pleasure, and you know, and it has to be its own reward, candidly, because you know, like if you do it because you think you're going to get board games, you know, and you're going to be able to get review copies of games, the amount of work you're going to put into getting review copies is going to be significant, even when you're have a level of success. And then the other thing is that, you know, for the amount of time and energy you have to put into it, it's a minor compensation, especially when, you know, whenever you get a game, that creates an obligation. Like you now have to start, you got to play that, and you got to play it a lot, and even if you don't like it, you got to play it. And so, you know, just that's the only feedback I'd give to anybody is do not do this unless you love doing this. Like, doing it in and of itself is fun, because there will be a lot of little incidental benefits you'll get from it, but none of them will compensate for the energy that you'll put into it. Whether you're writing a blog, whether you're producing a podcast, whether you're doing videos, it just won't. It just won't. You know, it's work. But if you enjoy the work, then it's totally worth it. I mean,
is that pretty much what motivates you to keep doing this thing that you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I love doing it. I mean, it's a simple fact that I love everything I do with the podcast. If I could do it full time, then I would. You know, it is my hobby. It is my passion. It's joyful for me. It's a great, fun experience to get to dissect games, to get to play games, to get to hang out and talk about games with people that I really, really enjoy, that I really respect. You know, getting to know people who love games and who have similar sensibilities to me. You know, I've made many good friends, yourself included, who are like really important people in my life at this point through the podcast. And it's its own reward, you know. I mean, that's just in the process of doing it. Like, I love becoming a little more thoughtful about the way I approach a game. I love kind of the process of understanding what makes a game work or not work. Trying to think through the methodologies for critiquing a game, and what are the best ways to give value to a potential buyer when they're looking at a game, or what is the best ways to give insights to people so that they can think about games in a way that maybe helps the game become something more than a distraction, but something that also might influence the way they think about their life writ large. You know, I mean, I don't know. I find all of that stuff pretty interesting, and I get a lot of pleasure out of the process of doing it. You know, at all levels. I'm always trying to improve and create a better product, and that's fun. So yeah, I mean, I just love the whole thing. I mean, it's just fun, you know. And if it's not fun, if it stops being fun, then I think there's no reason to be doing it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think maybe you've partially answered this question, but there's so many aspects of the hobby. But what would you say are, and Barry, I'd like to ask you the question too. What are the favorite aspects of the hobby, or things that you enjoy about what you're doing?
Okay. With me, the best thing about the hobby is when you're sat around a table with people and conversing and having a good time. For me, that is the heart. That is why I try to play more games. That's why I try to force playing games on my family, because we're quite a boring family that don't talk a lot. My mum talks, obviously, but and so you know, I want to find something that we could joke about and laugh about, and the way for me to do that is through board games. So board games for me is having that atmosphere and I can't think of the word, but with people.
Experiences and
yeah, just having a good time. Socializing, that was the word. Socialing.
Yeah, and I agree. I think community is really what's at the heart of board games, right? I mean, it's about, like as you say, Barry, you know, like bringing your family together and giving them some sort of interconnected tissue that can bind them together, give you something around which you can structure a night or kind of engage with people for broader conversations and stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's about community. It's about community within your family. It's about facilitating that within your group, your core group. But it's also about expanding that, you know, meeting new people and giving people of different backgrounds and different experiences something in common that they can gather around and kind of participate in this strange little ritual that somehow binds them together. I mean, that's what, you know, games are at the end of the day, aren't they? They're a ritual of sort. They take our experience, be it historical, personal, or otherwise, and they recreate it with us as participants.
Oh my God! I've just reconstructed Cthulhu! Ah!
Yeah, exactly. Our imaginations and those sorts of things. Yeah, but we're engaged in that sort of process, and
yeah,
you know, like I kind of think about your adventure games as kind of having, you know, it's about challenge and adversity. It's about conceiving those things and working together in community in order to overcome them. I mean, you know, in native cultures, they had symbolic challenges that they would participate in, and those were they were reverent moments, but they were about building community, right? And we have those same sort of moments. They're not reverent at all, but they are about building community. And so I think there's a lot of power in that. And so I have great affection for board games, and I have great, you know, the con experience kind of is an interesting sort of extension of the board game experience, and it's vital to it, and it creates a really remarkable sort of opportunity for us to reach out to each other and kind of be integrated and engaged with each other in a different way, a way that's different from our normal lives. And so I find a lot of value in all of that.
Yeah, I'm likewise very, very similar to you guys. I think of, you know, I've gamed since I was in high school, and we had such great, rich moments. As our family started to mature, we started buying family games, and that became a focal point around Christmas time where we would gather together and play games, and it became more and more intentional. But as we started delving deeper into the hobby, probably about 5 years ago, but really the last 3, where I've really been engaged with the larger gaming community, these experiences and these relationships for me have been so rewarding. I remember first meeting Tom Bassel with my son at Gen Con for his graduation, and we're playing Nothing Personal, and I didn't really even know of Tom Bassel at that time. My son was in total awe of him. He couldn't talk. He was just, oh, there's Tom Vassell. And I'm like, oh, that's a big dude up there. But then we got to play a game of El Grande the following night with Tom Vassell late in the evening in the gaming room. Meeting Patrick, you know, to have that experience that we had, and Sean and Raquel from Dukes of Dice, and Barry, I've been able to become closer friends with you and had such rich experiences and just personal times. And now here in our local community that we're reaching out to people that we hadn't met before, and they've become dear friends of mine, and I care about these people, and to have this kind of Robert Searing, I mean, what a gem of a man, and to have the opportunity to be his friend and talk about games and common interests, and I don't know, it has brought such joy and such rich into my life. I'm just so grateful for all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this: there's some we've swooned over the wonderful nuances of the hobby, but are there some things that just bug you to no end?
Well, you know, in our last episode, we did talk about our board gaming beefs.
Where's the beef?
Yeah, and I talked about a few issues that were sort of piddly, you know, regarding like boxes and inserts and that sort of thing. But no, I have to say, I mean, there are issues with the community as far as you know, the ways we interact with each other. Sometimes that can be problematic. I think I'm starting to have a little bit of examination into the power of competition and whether or not that's a good or bad thing. Whether or not being so fixated upon competition and the way it makes us feel and the way it makes the people around us feel. I sort of started to wonder about that. I'm not saying that it's a problem. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but ours is a community built around pitting ourselves against one another, and that's interesting. You know, certainly there's a lot of co-op games, and certain people, you know, play nothing but those. But the vast majority of the games are competitive, and a lot of the heavier gamers, more serious gamers, take the games pretty seriously. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. That's something that I don't quite understand. I don't take any games very seriously. I will try to win, but I don't really care about it. But I think a lot of people are more invested in that than I would be, and I'm wondering if that's a good thing or not. I don't know. It's certainly something that I've been thinking about a lot. I've actually been speaking to some leaders in education and behavioral psychology to ask about that question, to try to get an answer to it. And so I don't know, but I wonder, you know, are we producing something that's positive or negative in the lives of our kids and the people that we expose to board games by exposing them to a competitive recreational activity? I don't know the answer to that is no, but I don't know the answer to that is yes either. So that's something I've been thinking about a lot.
I would say it was no, because everything that we do as humans is a competitive composition. Whether you're having a conversation with your friends, it's a competition to tell the best story. Oh yeah, I was down the road and I drank 7 pints of lager. You didn't. I was down there as well and I had 15. You know, that kind of, you know, bravado, I think, is just a common nature. Obviously, there are people that, when they're playing a game, they go into that AP mode and they have to analyze every strategy and demand rules and explanations so that they can optimize their movement and win the game, you know, with a measurable score difference. Which again, that bugs me. You know, just play the game because we're learning how to play the game. Just get it over and done with, and you know, evaluate after. If you want to play it again, then maybe we'll make it a bit more competitive. But I just think it's natural, and obviously some people take it to the extremes. You know, they have to win.
Well, we've all had those bad experiences where you've got the person, because of their, I would just say, character. You might respond negatively. You know, I would consider myself to have a reasonably okay character, but there's times I've gotten ticked off at a game, you know, and you've responded in in an appropriate manner. And so, you know, I can't hold myself up as perfect in this, but I think as gamers too, we've evolved a little bit in that. When I was younger, you know, I really wanted to win, and so you would get frustrated, and in the moment, you might not handle yourself perfectly. But as the more I've grown in gaming, the more now it's not about the winning and losing of the game so much. It's about me doing my best and the experience and how that affects other people, you know, in that engagement.
Right.
Yeah.
So I know that.
Cheat.
Yes, exactly.
How do you handle, you know, as a content creator and the internet being what it is, especially if you've been on Reddit or any of those things, how do you handle discouragements in the hobby or internet trolls, or even maybe a side note to that, gamer burnout? There's so much to do in content creating and the amount of time and effort that you put into it, and then having people with negativity, those type of things.
Yeah. What do you think, Barry? I mean, how do you respond to the trolls?
Ooh, it's hard because I am affected very easily. But the logic in me tells me that I shouldn't be, because they don't know me. I don't know who they are. They're just, I don't know, they're just coming at things from the wrong angle. I mean, every day with the internet, every time you send an email or a little comment on Facebook, you have to be careful with what you say and make sure that it comes across the right way. It's really, really, you know, intricate to translate each and every kind of phrase that you want to say. Yes, I am upset about a negative comment, but my inside my head tells me, not my heart goes, but my head tells me, well, move on. You've had 5 comments yesterday and they were all positive, or they were just saying, you know, that rule there, what was the point of that rule in that game, and you just got to move on. You just got to forget it. There's just some people who just don't understand you, or they don't understand the hobby, or they are in their own little globe. You know, if it's not Warhammer, it's not a game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just got to, and that's my approach.
Yeah. I have found. I mean, there are some people you just have to write off, but I actually kind of lean into it. One of the things, you know, as you mentioned, I'm an attorney, and so my professional life is founded around conflict, but conflict in a way that is never personalized. You know, because for an attorney, the conflicts that you're facilitating are not yours, and while you advocate for your client and you care for your client, et cetera, you also understand that you're in the process of sort of pitting your energies, your intellectual energies, and the arguments of what you're doing against another, and those aren't about your value or their value. They're about proving out a point and getting to the right sort of middle ground, what is just, what is fair, as decided by a third party. And so for me, whenever somebody kind of gives me a lot of conflict or anything, like, I'll lean into it, meaning I won't come back to them with conflict, but I'll literally be like, okay, well, how can I respond to this in a way that allows a conversation to get to an appropriate middle ground? How can I be respectful of the concerns that they have, that they're expressing, and also, you know, sort of represent my point of view in a way that acknowledges the value of what I have to say and my experience. And so I often will reach out to these people directly, kind of, you know, be it a direct message on BGG or via Twitter or via some other sort of forum where I can speak to them and sort of kind of look to see what's really animating what's underneath their aggravation. And so as a result, I've come to some nice resolutions, sometimes with things that I was doing wrong or that I should improve upon, and sometimes with them kind of coming to some acknowledgement of where they need to be. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes it's just, you know, people are screaming into the ether, and that's all they want to do, you know, which is fine. That's for them to, you know, if they want to vent their spleen and I happen to be the subject of that, or what I'm talking about happens to be the subject of that, that's okay, as long as it's kind of in this sort of innocuous sort of trollosphere. I don't really care about that too much. But it's, it's weird. I mean, I've had some great conversations that have derived out of this, and I've come to some sort of interesting observations, and some of my own sort of blind spots have been exposed. So I don't know. I just try to. I don't worry about it too much. I try to figure out what I can learn from it, and if I can take something away from it that makes me a better person or better at what I'm doing, then there's value in that. I mean, I've been looking at these surveys that we were running for, in connection with this Inserts Galore contest. We got a lot of responses and a lot of comments, and some of them bummed me out pretty bad. Like, some people don't like me. Apparently, I did not. I did know that, but I didn't know there were as many people that didn't like me as
oh no.
Which is okay. There are a lot of them, but there's.
I
there's
love you, man.
I know. But if there's more than none, then it's too many for me. I'm a pleaser. And so, but the other thing about that is, okay, if people have a critique of what I'm doing and the way I'm doing it, then I probably need to integrate that and think about how I can do it in a way that maybe is a little different. Look, I'm not going to be for everybody, and if they hate me, then that's their prerogative, and I'm not going to make everybody love me. But I can take something out of it that maybe I can use to improve what I'm doing.
Well, I think kind of the heart of this whole thing for me, in just what you said, is that I'm open to constructive criticism, because I think, like you, I want to improve. I want to do better. I realize that I don't have everything. And yet we have to be authentic, and we have to be true to ourselves. And Barry and I, we like to screw around and have fun, and we're not super polished, and we just don't care. That's who we are. And yet there could be some things that we could improve and tighten up and all those kind of things. But at the end of the day, I want that engagement. I like the feedback. But when it's just simply for the purpose of just being negative and critical, I don't have a whole lot of time for that. And so I typically won't even engage that at that level. I have to be honest, we had a couple negative comments about our segment in Board Game Theater regarding my son's segment. And they were very harsh, and that really pissed me off. And so I didn't respond, but that took it to a different level, and so I think the father protector kicked in a little bit, and that was a little harder for me to handle.
Yeah, it's harder to be objective about the people you love, for sure. The good news for us is that even when Carrie was on the podcast, and certainly with Christina, I haven't heard a bad word about either of the women that were on our show, and I kid you not. People freaking love our pink pegs. They adore them.
Do you know why that is? That's because you've got all male listeners, and they're jealous that you've got a wife that plays board games and loves playing board games. That's what it is.
There's some truth to that, but you'd be surprised. Our demographic, we have a lot of very active and very enthusiastic female listeners.
That's so
a lot. I mean, I would say, based upon our recent data, about 20 to 30% of our listeners are women. And they love the girls too. Everybody just loves the women. They love them. So I've been lucky in that, because I think I'd be the same way. If somebody were being harsh with Carrie, I would be it'd be hard for me to stomach.
Yeah. Well, I know you need to run here, and we got to wrap this up. But just one last question, and I just want to. I don't know if promote's the right word, but I've read some things that you've written in a blog regarding what gaming has taught you, and I know this would be a real brief general explanation, but you found some things out about yourself and what the hobby, gaming in particular, has taught you about yourself. Could you elaborate on that just a little bit and get your perspective?
Yeah, well, that's been a project that I've been working on actually throughout the year. For what you've read I've written for the Daily Worker Placement, and I also wrote an article for a Casual Game Insider, and I've written a few times for the Daily Worker Placement. But what I've been spending this year doing is trying to think about games in a bit more deliberate way. To think about how they enrich my life and what I can gain from board games. While Carrie and I are reconciled, we're back together, we were separated for about a year, and board games played a very important role in sort of me getting through that very difficult moment in my life. And I learned a lot from games through that process, and I learned a lot about myself, and it got me thinking about the power that games can have in our lives, and the power that we can use, that we can, if we think about games in a thoughtful way, what we can do and use them to improve our way of dealing with a lot of parts of our lives, and what they can tell us a lot about ourselves. So I've spent the last bit of this year kind of really focusing upon that heavily, reading a lot of reading a lot of text and other materials about the subject matters that games have kind of triggered in my mind, and sort of thinking about those in the context of my game experience. And I've been writing a lot, and some of those you've seen, kind of get converted into articles, and a lot of it you haven't seen, and who knows, you may not, no one may ever see it ever, but I don't know, it may get formed into something else. It was my resolution for this year to kind of approach this project. So, that's what I've been doing. I believe in the power of games a lot. I think the things that we often don't think of as having profound impacts upon who we are and what we become and the way we interact in the world actually have very profound impacts upon us. And I don't want that to go to waste. I think we've got a lot of incredible people playing some incredible games. And I think there's something to be said for making it into something more than just playing, I mean, play is powerful. Play is essential to us. It's the first thing that we do. The first lesson we ever learn comes to us from play. And I think a lot of people sort of lose a sense of play, and they stop focusing upon it when the life becomes heavy and serious, and when we become quote unquote grown-ups. And we've got a community of people that know the value of play, and I want to explore that a little bit more. So that's what I've been doing over the last year, and I will continue to do throughout the remainder of the year.
Yeah,
sounds like there's a song in there somewhere. There's some powerful words. Powerful words.
Play.
The power.
No. I did not. I don't know my room. That's clear. I mean, yeah. But no. But I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about, though. I mean, as much fun as you guys have here, as goofy as you guys, as goofy as we all are. I mean, I'm a goofball too. We're all goofballs. We kind of get something. We all know that there's something more at work here, I kind of wanted to be a little more deliberate about looking at that.
Okay, were you deliberate about growing a beard as well?
Yeah. I do love my facial hair. I actually shaved just today for you guys.
Oh, no. Another board gamer with a beard. There you have it, folks. I'm going to be doing a tally of board game personalities with beards against me.
Well, Patrick, man, I can't tell you how excited I was to have you on the show. I'm so glad you just have so much respect for you and what you're doing, and so glad to call you a friend and look forward to the continued relationships. So.
Oh yeah, I adore you, Kevin. You're a great guy, man. You're very important in my life. I just have great affection for you and your whole family. Josiah's a great kid, man. And your daughters, I mean, I know the whole clan, actually. Your wife's the only one I have yet to, I think, well, no, a couple of your other daughters I haven't met yet. But anyways, no, man, I'm happy to get on the show and talk to you. And Barry, it's good to meet you. And
Hey, Barry, how are ya?
Just checking on my saliva.
It's the love boat.
Anyways, I love you guys, man.
Thank you.
Well, thanks again. So, again, people, you can reach out to Rob, Patrick, Christina, Jeremy at Blue Peg, Pink Peg. Highly recommend. Take a listen. You can go to their website, check them on the Guild, their Facebook page. They're all over the place and have some great insights, and highly recommend them. You can also jump on BoardGameTheater.com and get in on this inserts galore contest. There's 10 chances to win. I'd really highly recommend just take a look at it, jump in there. You get to look at some of our podcasts, Dukes of Dice, Blue Peg, Pink Peg, Rolling Dice and Taking Names, and look at some phenomenal components there. And all of that's on the Board Game Theater. We're also, this live podcast gets converted to a more professional audio version for iTunes, Stitcher Radio. You can connect with us there. The Board Game Guild, you can see there, is number 2248. We would love to interact with you. We'd love to see what your feedback is, what we could do to improve, and just talk about things maybe you'd like to talk about on the show for our Babble topic. We'd love to hear from you. So please interact with us. Barry, you have anything else to close us out? You got a really nice tongue there.
That wasn't my tongue.
Are we letting it here? What's going on?
You know, everyone's going to be like freeze framing that now on YouTube. It's like, wait a minute, what's that? Split second. It's one of those subliminal messages. Anyway, no, I've got nothing to say apart from thank you very much, Patrick, for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And now I'm going to have to add another podcast to my subscription list.
Yeah, check us out. We aren't for all. We know that we have our audience, but give us a try. You might enjoy it.
Okay, my lawn is not as big as Berkey's there, so I haven't got like one of those vans where I can run over cats with. I just got stones. I throw stones at
our
cats.
episodes are getting kind of long. We've been trying to trim them down, but we're having a hard time doing it. But you know, I think it's fun. We're a fun listen, and we have a good time doing it. And you know, I mean, we talk about some cool games. I think we got some really cool games. Very cool game on our next episode. One that I really enjoyed. That a lot of people. I'm looking forward to telling people about. Teaser.
By the way, Patrick, on the Inserts Galore video, we actually have 3 more likes to our Facebook page than you.
What? Yeah, you need to get up on it now. Come on,
you
kids.
You and your big Peg Hag Nation and Berkey and Badger are busting you, man.
Nice. Well done, guys. I'm very happy for you.
Oh, they're pegs on your logo. I thought they were ice creams.
However you want to make.
There they are.
Yeah. They actually, you know, it's funny in the style for the pegs that we have for our logo on the American Gothic. You know that hasn't been the style for the Game of Life little pegs for years. I mean, they're now like these. I played it with my nephew, I don't know, over Christmas, and they have shoulders and heads now. I like the classic design, you know, the old school. But anyways, yeah, whatever.
It's awesome. Well, with that, Barry, I guess we're going to sign off.
All right, guys. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, guys. I have got to go deal with my
glad we got this time together.
Oh, we're singing.
Now it's time to go. It won't be long until we have another show. So keep us in mind, get online. Berkey and Badger will be back in no time.